Hello once again. Cathar Love 48. The Cathar secret 3 T's. Sounds interesting. Before I start, I was on the bus the other day and I just stepped on board and I heard it was somewhat crowded and I heard, "Oh, Joey!" I turned around and there's my friend. I hadn't seen him for quite some time. He looked fantastic. I said, which I said to him, I said, "You look great." He said, "Oh," he said, "I've changed my life around." He said, I'm changed my diet." He said, "I'm more as a vegan. I'm eating, lots of vegetables, fruit, and he said, "I'm feeling fantastic." I said, "You're looking great." And he said, "Well, you haven't changed. You haven't changed at all." Well, people white lie, but I'm not going to. I didn't disagree with him. I tell you, give me the money and I'll change. No, not really. The point about this is that with this 3 T's, it's basically transformation, transcendation, and transmutation. It's a process. In fact, it's related to the secret alchemical process that the ancients used when they were trying to change base metal into gold. In this case, we're the base metal. But what it means, it was like my friend. He took those steps because you're the one who's got to do it. And he wanted to change his life around, changing his diet. But because of this, he got the rewards of doing that. He's lost weight. He was brimming with health, and he always had he always had a great smile anyway. So it was really wonderful to see him. But more importantly, it was just marvelous to see him looking so well. So, and it doesn't matter whether you're a Catholic or a Gnostic or an atheist or a skeptic or whatever. To transform, the first T is something that it's a step that you have to take yourself. Get off junk food, give drugs away, get off the booze, whatever. Be a more kind, compassionate, loving person, be more charitable, or whatever it happens to be. You are taking steps to change your life, to move to a better lifestyle, move towards your higher consciousness, your higher self if you want to put it that way. This is applicable to anybody. But with the Gnostics and the Cathars, we have our own specific goals that we're seeking. And we know a Gnostic is simply someone who believes that rather than a personal God, there's a divinity, a light that is a creator that's beyond our knowing, and ultimately through reincarnations, as we perfect our lives, as we become more enlightened, we will eventually return to the source after the necessary cycles of reincarnations are completed. The Cathars take this one step further because with Cathars, they're very interested with the transformation, transcendation, in connecting with their own guide or personal guides. Still, the cycle of reincarnations, that applies. But more importantly than that the Cathars have this quest, holy grail of total unconditional love for everybody and everything everywhere. That means not just human beings, that means animals, that means the trees, that means the environment, that means the mountains. So you're going to be a Cathar, you're going to be an environmentalist, that's for sure. And so this is the purpose of Catharism. So from our point of view, but we have to take this first step of transformation. Nobody, it's something that it's a process, it's a thought out process, it's a conscious decision. Nobody is born a Gnostic or a Cathar, because one has to take, you might be born a Jew, you might be born this, you might be born that, or born into these families, but even if you're born into a couple that were Gnostic or Cathars, you're still not a Gnostic or a Cathar. You have to make a conscious decision to move in this direction, to this of transforming your life in order to transcend above our normal everyday lives of material existence and moving into a more spiritual, mystical, magical level of lifestyle. And what happens is then that all these things happen. I mean, obviously, if you change your diet and you have a better diet, you're going to get better health. So there's things that you'll get rewards in that respect. By in a more spiritual or mystical way, you'll start to receive things that will happen, minor, major things, miracles even, that will happen, and which are there to tell you, signpost you, to say, yes, you're on the right path for yourself. And the big thing about it, about Gnosticism and Catharism, is that, like the Indians, there's no enlightenment without joy. There's no mukti without bhakti. So the thing about Gnosticism and Catharism is to remove rocks from you. Not, if you do that, you're going to be damned. If Jesus hates faggots or whatever it happens to be, you're loading rocks on people. Catharism, Gnosticism, is to take it away. You want to have 3 wives? Have 3 wives. You have 3 husbands? Have 3 husbands. From a Gnostic Cathar point of view, it doesn't matter. These are irrelevancies. You want children? Have a child. If you don't want any children, don't have a child. These are not. There's no rules and the things like that. What they're concerned with is this transformation, this transcendation, rising to our higher selves. It's our responsibility to do that for ourselves. But you get all the benefits. You're not worried about damnation or salvation. You're enjoying life. You're enjoying the fruits of life. You're enjoying your sex. You're enjoying your wine. You do a spot of gambling. A spot of gambling. These are just normal things of living. They've got nothing to do with your spiritual thing. If you drink or sex or drugs or this and that you take any of these things that harm you, well, that's obvious. Whatever you do, if you're harming you, you're doing things that damage yourself. Well, you've got yourself a problem. So that doesn't come into it. But the normal things that we do with our bodies, the normal delights and passions and that are natural bodily functions, most specifically whining, dining, sex and so on, these are natural functions and nothing to do for or against our spiritual life. So you can be a drinker and be highly spiritual, be a non-drinker and you're highly spiritual, but it's hard to be a drunk and highly spiritual. And so we're enjoying life, but health. Now, at the moment I'm sprouting on. I'm feeling good. Can't say that a week ago. I had a bit of a chill, slight cough. Still have it. And when Bart and we went out dancing, and it was a hot night, and I came out and I got a chill, so I caught a cold, and that was okay. And we ate the food that was there, and oh dear, that night my partner was up all night and I felt okay, but for the next 2 days I had diarrhea, so I had a cold and diarrhea. So I wouldn't be sprouting about the delights of Gnosticism, Catharism a couple of days ago. I was in pain, and life might be an illusion, but there's not too much illusory about pain when you've got a toothache and so forth. So health is so important, and as we mature, get older, like I am, some of the things don't work as well as they used to. Luckily for me, pretty much everything is. Memory, talking about memory. There was this couple who had with memory loss, and so they both went to the doctor and to see if he could do anything about it. And the doctor said, well, he said, not really. He said, look, he said, the best I can suggest to you is that you write yourself a note and just keep that note handy. So that night, Dave, and he said to Mabel, his wife, I'm going into the kitchen to get a bowl of strawberries. Would you like some? And she said, yes, but hang on. She said, I want cream with my strawberries. She said, write it down, write a note. He said, remember, I want a bowl of strawberries. You want a bowl of strawberries, but you want cream with your strawberries. No, she said, I want more than that. She said, I also want some ice cream with my cream and strawberries. He said, okay. She said, write it down. He said, look, it's okay. He said, I want a bowl of strawberries. You want strawberries with cream, but with added ice cream. It's okay, it's okay. He went into the kitchen. 15 minutes later, he comes out with 2 cups of coffee. He gives her a cup of coffee, and he sits down to his cup of coffee. He's about to have his coffee, and she said, and where's my bacon and eggs? we laugh, we joke, and we should have a laugh and joke about the things. We shouldn't take things too seriously. But of course, if it's happening to you, it's no joke. So health is so important. The other thing is that Gnosticism, Catharism, isn't something airy-fairy. There's rewards if you can get involved with your guide. I've had a number of occasions where myself and my friend, his guide, Henri, rewarded me when I needed it in a monetary fashion. Money came my way. And so money is pretty physical. So they're not a bank, but they can organise things and they can direct things mainly through thought in our direction. The thing about Cathar, the Cathars, even though it's regarded as a medieval Gnostic Christian religion, the Cathars themselves were not into religion for the very simple reason that religion was just part of the material world, which they considered, like the Buddhists, to be totally illusory. What isn't illusory in this world is us, our soul, our divine spark, desperately wanting to return to the source. Love, unconditional love, compassion, caring, kindness, which are all respect. All these things are part of life. This is not illusory. This is the true reality of life. Being healthy rather than pain. These are realities. So they were seeking the actuality, the realities of our actual existence. And so therefore, if there was science or there was the latest information, whatever it was, they were interested in it, in explaining our part within our cosmos and in the universe. And I mean, there's things going on which our governments just simply won't discuss. I mean, there's families, really, mothers, they really don't know what to do with some of these vaccines. I mean, they know, mothers know that 20, 30 years ago, there was 1 in 2,500 that might have had autism. It really started in the 80s when they there was a big change with the numbers. Now in the US it's up like 1 in 160 kids getting autism or some particular problem to some degree. And as people say, like what I'm saying now, there's no real science behind what you're saying. That's true, I'm not disagreeing with that. But the point is that no scientific body in Australia, in America, in England are investigating vaccines for the public and giving a public disclosure as to what really is going on. They're just taking the manufacturers and the big bucks, their prejudices, and the medical prejudices. And anyone who says anything different is a heretic. But nobody's doing anything so these things can be proved conclusively one way or the other. Another thing, Time magazine, Washington Post, none of these things really discuss in depth the things that are going on with UFOs, aliens and what have you. So some people, there's hoaxes going on with that. But at the moment, these crop circles, which are primarily in England, although I must say the first major recording of a crop circle was in my hometown Tully, or just outside, which was in 1962. And the guy whose farm was, I went to school with him, Ross Panisi. Well, there was another farmer called Pedley who actually saw the crop circle and saw the actual discs, because he thought there was something wrong with his tractor, with the noise. And he looked up and there was these 3 flying saucers that take off. And the thing about it is, even today, I can Google, with Google Earth, I can go to that Horseshoe Lagoon and I can find those 3 little, what do you call them, UFO landing spots, and there's another lot there too as well. And not only that, I Googled, and which you can do, Salisbury Hill, Salisbury, Salisbury Hill, United Kingdom. And as soon as I went there, there's Salisbury Hill, and lo and behold, even though it's the end of the season and summer and they harvested all the crops, there was this large crop circle there from Google Earth, my first crop circle, and there it was. Beautiful. Now these crop circles, they're all different types. Some are spiritual, some are astrological, some are giving us messages. There's all these things going on, and the government knows what's going on. But instead of telling the public step by step by step, there's nothing. When it comes to armaments, we have to go to war. We have to buy another aircraft carrier or battleship, or spend so many billions on a plane. You can't shut them up. Oh yeah, because we might be attacked by this, we might be attacked by that, and we have to attack this one, and billions go out. President Eisenhower said, I've got it here somewhere. This is my sentiments, and I'm an old war dog. From my own book. Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired signifies, in the final sense, a theft from those who hunger and who are not fed, from those who are cold and who are not clothed. This world in arms is not spending money alone. It is spending the sweat of its labourers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. This is not a way of life at all in any true sense. Under the clouds of war, it is humanity that is hanging on a cross of iron. And that's from a president who should know, because he was in charge of the Allied armies in World War II. So, billions, untold billions. The banks. When you put money in a bank, I put money in a bank, your money is not secure. You are listed legally as an unsecured creditor. Did you know that? I certainly wasn't aware of it until not long ago. But not only that, in England, in the USA, in New Zealand, I don't know about Australia, already there's legislation that if the banks collapse again, as they did in Cyprus, they will be taking depositors' money. Now luckily, if you're in the USA, you can put your funds, or if you're in charge of, say, the local school or the council's funds, and you want the council workers to get paid, and you're an unsecured creditor with that bank. This is a terrible responsibility, knowing this. But in America, you have public banks. And these public banks don't deal in derivatives and gambling money and overseas investments and so forth and so on. Public banks in a particular state do on the local work on local infrastructures and things that go on in that particular state, and they don't gamble your money. And in fact, when all the banks collapsed, the public banks were actually making their major profits. So there is a way out. In Australia, we got rid of our public banks, and now they're high flyers and they're gambling with our deposits and so forth. So we've got a problem. But people don't realise that you put your money in the bank, you're just an unsecured creditor. And if something happens, like in Cyprus, they can take, if they want to, and the legislation, I don't know about Australia, but in America, New Zealand and England, I think Canada, they can take your money, 30%, 40% of your entire funds. They can take it out legally. It's already been drafted in the States, in England. Check it out if you want to. So what I'm trying to say is, Gnosticism, Catharism, is something not airy-fairy. Sure, we're trying to move on to towards our higher consciousness, onto a higher plane, to become more spiritual, to become more mystical. But part of that is not putting your head in the sand, in knowing the reality of our actuality, of our existence here. It's personal responsibility to keep ourselves healthy, fit. No good having a brain up here going tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, if your body's not much of a vehicle to carry that brain around. So what I'm trying to say here is that the secrets of that, and it's not so much a secret that we're trying to keep it from the public. It's a secret because people are unaware of it. So the secret 3 T's are simply transformation, which you must take the first step towards and do. Transcendation, which is the end result of having transformed yourself. But from that point onwards, they, your guides, whatever you want to do it, the universe will now start to look after you and signpost the fact that because you have transcended and you're moving as much as you can into a higher life, to a better life, to a more compassionate life, a decent life, getting rid of the negative aspects in your life, health, all these different things, they will organise your rewards. Now, the more you get into transcendation, which can also include things like whatever you may be into yoga, but certainly meditation is a major effect, because the whole point is, a part of this transformation is to turn inwards to the light within ourselves. So the whole point of it is that we have our highs and downs. Last week I was sick, this one's got problems and that one's got problems. We have our highs and lows, but we have to learn to not just love others, we have to love ourselves. And loving ourselves means enjoying being ourselves, delighting in being in our own skins. Delighting in being ourselves. So this is all part and parcel of this 3 T's. Transformation, transcendation, and ultimately transmutation. But we don't have to worry about that, because it is the divinity that takes that transcended entity, person, and it's the one that transmutes you into the final one. But I would say that probably will be done in the world of spirit rather than in planet Earth. On that note, nice to talk to you again. Until next time. Bye for now.